Everybody, and good morning. Welcome to our very first Twitch live stream, our very first meeting that we have together. My name's Elisa Setmire. I am your instructor. This is Twitch. If you've never been on here before, welcome. The best way to contact me, or like interact with me, I should say, is to put your thoughts or questions in the chat, and then I'll see them and I can answer them live, which is great. So thank you so much again for all of you joining me. I hope you are staying safe in this crazy weather with all the power outages and fires. I know the campus was closed again today, so take care of yourselves and stay safe. And yeah, we'll move on. We'll kind of get into our class a little bit today. What I want to do is take a little bit of time to walk you through the Canvas site, walk you through the Psyched ebook site. This would be a great opportunity if you're confused about something or have questions. I can kind of answer them live for you. And then toward the end, what I'll do is give you some reminders for this week. And then every live stream, there'll also be an extra credit question, which I'll give you and show you how you can answer to get a couple of points for joining me live. Or if you're watching this later as a recording and you're subscribed, you can still answer the question on Canvas. So let's go ahead and head over to Canvas together. And I should have asked a while ago, hopefully someone would have said something, but can you all hear me and see me okay? Someone give me like a thumbs up or a yes in the chat if you can hear and see me just fine. Especially with all the wind, I'm paranoid about the internet. Okay, great, great. Thank you, thank you. Great, thank you so much for letting me know. That's great. So let's go to Canvas. I'm glad everything's loud and clear. So this is our course website, and you'll notice I do actually have two sections of this class going on right now. So you're either in 31052 or 31109. They're the exact same, so don't worry if it's not the same number at the top. But this is our Canvas page, and what I want to do is take a little bit of time to kind of walk you through it so that you know where everything is. You can find everything and you're not confused. So on this homepage, there's a little description and then a bunch of links to modules. And this is a great place to start, where it says start here if you're not sure where to start. There's some contact information for me, help and campus resources, course documents and videos, and then you can see each of the weeks that we have together, which is 8 weeks in total. So when you're ready to start, you can click on mandatory orientation. You can also get to all these modules here over on the left side by clicking on one of these links. There's a link to all the announcements that I send out, a link to all the modules, and then also to your grades. So let's go ahead and start with going over the syllabus. And if you haven't read through this, I would definitely recommend doing so. I'm not going to go over everything, but I do want to highlight a few things just to make sure, again, you know what to expect and you're feeling good about the class. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. And this will definitely be the longest live stream. Most of them will be maybe like 20, 30 minutes after this week, but I do want to make sure that you're feeling all set and ready to go. So at the top here is all of the contact information for me. My name again is Elisa Setmire. You can call me Elisa. You can call me Professor Setmire. Dr. Setmire is a lie, but I will happily respond to it. That's okay. But most people call me Elisa or just Professor Setmire or Setmire. My email is always going to be the best way to get a hold of me. I check my email constantly. I'm pretty good at getting back to you quickly, even on the weekend and in the evenings. My phone is in my office on campus, and so I don't get to that as often. So email me if you have questions. That's always going to be the best way. There's some stuff here if you need to get a hold of like the department chair or the dean or the administrative office. And then a description. And I'm going to let you read over the description and objectives on your own. It's just everything that we're going to cover over the course of our 8 weeks that we have together. There's also some outcomes of things that you should be able to do when we're done with the class. But let's go right here and talk about the textbook. And there are a couple of things that you do need to have. And I'm sorry if this was a little confusing. So I wrote a book that just came out literally like 2 weeks ago. And so, I think they're still kind of ironing out that system. So if you purchased the ebook pack, you did the right thing. What it is that you need to get is this ebook bundle. So it's a bundle of our main textbook, which is Psyched. And that's where you're going to find all the chapters, the exams, all that kind of stuff. And then I did have this small little supplemental book that I wrote that you have an assignment on later in the semester. And I think it just has some really great like resources for self-care and mindfulness. So when you buy the ebook bundle, if you click on this link right here, it should take you directly, there we go, to the website. So it's $110 for the bundle together. And what's a little bit confusing, I think, for some people is you're going to get two separate emails back. So you're going to get an email for registering and getting set up with the Psyched textbook. And then depending on which platform you choose for the self-care book, you'll get an email from them as well. So if you don't get the emails together at the same time, don't panic. Hopefully it is coming. If you don't get an email and you purchased it, I'll show you in a little bit. I have some phone numbers and emails that you could always reach out to if you need a little bit of help. But just to clarify, that Psyched book is the main book, and it looks like this when you're on the site, and we'll go through that in a little bit together. And the self-care book is more of like a supplement, and there's like one assignment on it that you'll be doing later. I would also recommend that you download the Canvas and Twitch apps. I do use Canvas a lot, and Twitch will be how we do live streams. So not a bad idea to download those two free apps, especially with all the uncertainty right now with power. Make sure you're getting my messages and announcements and the ones from the college as well. You'll obviously also need internet since it's an online class. I have some computer and system stuff. As long as your computer's within the last like 5 years, you're probably okay. But I do have some little helps for that too later if you find that it isn't working. Some codes of conduct and policy kind of things. I really want this to be a fun and safe, inclusive environment. I know that we don't interact in person, but we do have these interactions here on Twitch, and then we'll have discussions on Canvas. I want you to feel safe contributing and commenting and sharing your thoughts and stories. So just try to be mindful and respectful of each other. One really big one for me as an online class is kind of meeting class deadlines. So the way that this class is set up is that you have 2 weeks open to you at any given moment. So right now we're in weeks 1 and 2, and it gives you a little bit of flexibility, I think, to work a little bit ahead onto week 2, or if you know this week is busy, next week you could do weeks 1 and 2. But everything will open up Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. and then we'll close Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. for that second week. And so you can do the materials at any point during that 2-week period, but I'm really, really strict about the deadline. Because you have so much flexibility, once that Sunday night deadline passes, it is too late to turn in those materials. So even if you email me at like 12:01 a.m. after the deadline, my response every time is going to be, I'm so sorry, but it's too late. Now, on the flip side of that, if something comes up, if you have an emergency, you've lost power, something happens, your mental health is struggling, your physical health is struggling, if something happens, please reach out to me. If you email me before a deadline, I'm happy to work with you and give you some extra time. So just if something comes up, just make sure that you reach out to me ahead of time. That's kind of my one hard rule that I stick to, and sometimes it makes me really sad to do it, but I have to be fair and consistent. So just please do me a favor. If you have an emergency or need more time or something comes up, reach out before the deadline to get some help. Please don't copy or cheat. There's some like smoking and Title IX stuff here. Let's go down to grades. And again, if you have questions at any point, feel free to put them in the chat. The first graded item is your mandatory orientation quiz, and that is on the Psyched ebook. I will show you what that looks like in a little bit here, but that does need to be done by tonight at 11:59 p.m. And the reason for the quick deadline is to make sure you have your books, that you're starting in the class, that you're an actual person. We've had so many bots signing up, and they're not even real people. So this is for me to make sure that you're involved and engaged and ready to go with your book and all of that. You'll have a bunch of little discussions. Each week you'll be responsible for 2 discussions, for responding to my questions and then also to a classmate. Think about them as like little mini papers. I'm really looking for you to show off your knowledge and comprehension of the materials. You'll have a couple of little self-assessments, usually in the week after an exam. I'll just kind of check in with you. How are you feeling about your grades and the class so far? They're each worth 5 points. You will do a self-care and mindfulness assignment based on that self-care book. This is something you'll be doing kind of toward the end of the semester, so you don't need to worry about that book quite yet. It will come later as we get toward the last couple of weeks, and I'll talk about that when we get a little bit closer. There's also a short closing assignment where you'll reflect back on some topics that we've covered and how you could apply them to your life. And finally, you'll have 4 exams, and each exam will be worth 75 points. They're based on the readings and the lecture. They'll all be taken on that ebook site. And next week when we have exam number 1, I'll spend some time going over the study guide and how to take it and giving you some tips for success and all that kind of fun stuff. So all those things together make up your grade, and you can just see the point distribution right here. If you have a memo with access, please make sure you get that to me as soon as you can. That way I can make sure you're set up for whatever accommodations you might need, whether it's timing or whatnot. There's some college links and student tech support links, things that might be helpful, especially since we're in an online class. And then finally, after that, what you'll see is just our schedule. So as I said, right now, we're in weeks 1 and 2, which will close on the 26th, which is not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And then you can see here's all the readings for this week and then the assignments for this week. So everything, with the exception of that little mandatory orientation quiz, is due by Sunday, January 26th at 11:59 p.m. And we follow a very similar format. Every week, you'll generally have 4 chapters to read and 2 discussions. And then every second week, there'll be an exam. So that's kind of how it goes, with a couple of little self-assessments and assignments sprinkled in throughout. And then our final week ends on Sunday, March 9th, which feels like a long time away from now, but it's going to go really fast. So that is kind of the syllabus really quickly. Are there any questions at all about the syllabus? And Janet, that's awesome that you figured out the Prime subscription thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but if you have a chance to figure that out, that would be great. But that is the syllabus. I also sent out a little welcome letter last week just to help you get started. There's some other links here about the textbook, right, if you need more information about that. Just a video overview if you're still feeling confused. And then lots of campus resources and help. Right? I've been teaching online now for, I want to say 15 years or so. And so I know that things can be a little confusing when you're on your own. So I put together like a list of frequently asked questions that people always ask me. It's probably in here. If you have a question about something, you could always check. There's also some stuff here in terms of like a student lounge, right? So if you would like to be able to talk to each other in a little discussion forum, that's there. I'll come back to these two in a minute. There's some stuff about finding your grades, student services, psych major information, and all of that kind of stuff. So once you've kind of looked through all of that and you've got your book and you've registered your book, the next thing to do is start with this mandatory orientation stuff. And that's kind of like the precursor to week number 1. So let's take a look at the mandatory orientation lecture together and some of the elements of that. All right, so you'll notice that the lectures are set up, they have this like 5-tab format. So don't forget that there are 5 tabs for each one of them. And they all have a very similar format for consistency. I'm big on consistency and organization. And so what you'll see is you can listen to what I have here. You can listen to the lecture, or you can obviously read through it. And this first page kind of gives you an overview of what to expect. So you're going to listen to or read all the pages here. You're going to read through the syllabus, which we kind of looked at briefly together. You're going to complete the mandatory orientation quiz, which you can find on the ebook site. We'll look at that in a bit. You're going to find me on YouTube and Twitch. So I use a lot of videos and live streams in this class. And it's my hope that those make it more relatable, that I make it more engaging, and that stuff like this right now. Yeah, someone said you're in Psych 6. So I have Psych 6 at 12 something. Like it's coming up in a little bit. Yeah, so this is intro Psych. So you get to see me again, but for a different class in a little bit. Okay. So if you go to find me on these 2 platforms, what you'll see is that I have a YouTube channel. I think people are really familiar with YouTube. But I know Twitch is a little bit different, and a lot of you might not have used it if you're not a big like streamer or video game person. So Twitch is what I'm going to use for the live streams. It just felt like kind of a fun current way to interact with all of you. If you have the ability, I would love for you to subscribe on Twitch. And there's a few reasons for this. Some of them help you and some of them help me. The first big one is when you subscribe, it's way easier for me to track your attendance. So those of you who are joining me live, if you're subscribed, you don't need to worry about putting your name in the chat. It pops up a report for me when we're done. So I don't have to go through and like find your name and find your channel name and all that. So it saves me a bunch of time. So I really greatly appreciate those of you who make that easier for me. It also gives you less ads. There's always one ad at the beginning, but then you shouldn't have any more if you're subscribed. You get a little cake next to your name, which is fun. And then the other really big thing is if you can't make it live to these live streams, which a lot of people can't, it's in the middle of the day. If you watch it later as a recording, you can still answer the questions that I give for extra credit if you're subscribed. So that's probably the biggest benefit to all of you. And you can do this for free. It takes a couple of steps to do. But if anyone in your family has Amazon Prime, you can link that to Twitch and do that very easily. And there's a whole page about how to do this with a video. So if you can take the time to do that sometime this week, that'd be really, really helpful. The next page tells you a little bit about how the course is laid out. And we kind of just went over this, all the different things that you'll have. So this is just a reminder for those of you who might need it. There's a little bit about me, right? And so I give you a little bit about myself. I'm a big football fan. I love escape rooms. I love the holidays, right? I kind of just gave you a little bit of a background about myself so that you would know the person teaching the class. And then there's a page about computer and internet help should you need it. And then finally, on the last page, and this one might be helpful for those of you who are struggling, I gave you some help resources. So if you're having a hard time with your order of the textbook, there is a phone number here and an email. If you need help from Canvas, there's their phone number. If you need help from the college, here's their information. So a lot of resources for you. And if you're ever confused or need help, please feel free to email me. I am here. I'm happy to help. But I did give you some things here that are maybe a little more specific should you need them. So read through that, look through all of that. And here's that page, like I mentioned earlier, if you need to figure out how to find me on Twitch and YouTube. YouTube's easy. I just gave you a link. But here are the step-by-step instructions for Twitch, and you're welcome to do that now while we're talking if you would like, or you can do that later today. But there is a whole page about it if you're a little bit confused. So once you've got your book registered and purchased, you've read through that, you can go take the quiz, the mandatory orientation quiz. So let's go look at that together. If we go over to the ebook site, and the ebook is run by Kendall Hunt, that's its publisher. And so the ebook site is where you're going to find all of our exams. You're going to find all of our chapters. Sorry, I have quite a few sections. You should only have one, hopefully. Make sure you register to our section that you're in. So you'll notice the welcome page looks like this. There's a little video if you need an overview. Up at the very top, there's links to the different chapters, the exams, some additional resources. So this is where you're going to find all of the chapters. So if you click on chapters at the top, you'll see a big list here that pops up of the 16 different chapters that you'll be reading for this class. I did write this as well, so hopefully you can kind of hear my voice and some of that personality stuff kind of comes through as you're going. There's some additional resources that you probably won't need, but if you want them, they're here. Stuff like little flashcards, test yourself activities that I created. There's some PowerPoints if you want to see the PowerPoints that I use in class when I teach this. The biggest thing that's helpful here is probably the exams, which if you click on up here at the top, will bring up the list of all of the tests for this class. And this is where you'll take every single exam. And so here right at the top is the mandatory orientation quiz. And you'll see that it has a deadline of tonight at 11:59 p.m. So really be on that. And some instructions. So when you're ready, you'll click begin your attempt, right? So I was showing this earlier to somebody. So it says that I'm already doing it. But you get one attempt at this. So make sure that you're ready and organized before you begin. You have 15 minutes, you can use your notes, you can use anything at your disposal, and then make sure you save your answer. So let's take a look at that together. If you click like take the exam, or retake for me since I've done it before, what you'll see is there are 10 questions on this little orientation quiz, and it's all based on the syllabus and the mandatory orientation lecture. And so, for example, if you miss an exam or discussion, it can be made up the following week. Right? Remember, that's not true, right? So you'd hit false, and then you have to save your answer. And so it turns it like an orange color. That's how you know that it's been saved. This class is entirely online with no in-person meetings. That is true, right? Sadly, we don't ever meet in person. Save answer. And so you'll do that for all 10. Let's say you don't know one, you can always skip it, in which case it'll show up as like gray that you skipped it. And when you've done all of them and they're all orange, you'll click I am finished, submit for a grade. And it'll say, are you sure? Right, I obviously didn't answer all of them. And then the second that you submit it, it will give you an instant score. So I got a shameful 2 out of 10, but I did only attempt 2. So to be fair, like 2 out of 2. But it'll give you a score right away. Now, I do want to point out that your score does not come over to Canvas automatically. I wish so badly that it does, that it would, but it doesn't. So if you get in a score in here, it will be housed temporarily in the little grade book for this site, which is up at the top. And then after the deadline is passed, I'll bring all those scores into Canvas. So if you took the mandatory orientation quiz and you're in Canvas and you're like, I don't see a score, that's why. It just doesn't come over automatically. The other thing in Canvas that sometimes is a little obnoxious, speaking of that, is this to-do list, right? It's such a cool idea that we have a to-do list, but it doesn't automatically check stuff off for you. So let's say you already did something, you can manually hit the X and get rid of it. But if you do it, it won't remove it for you. So just a couple of things to kind of keep in mind so that you're not worried if you don't see a score right away. So make sure that you're using this site to do all of your reading. Make sure you're using it for all the exams and quizzes. Next week, when we do our live stream next week, I will go over exam number 1 and show you how to take that on here and give you some tips. But this is where you can find that mandatory orientation quiz for our class, which is due by tonight. Okay, and I'm talking so much, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that you're feeling good about everything. Are there any questions at all about the ebook site, about the mandatory orientation materials, anything that I've covered so far? Before I keep going, you're usually like 30 seconds behind me, so I'm just going to wait a second to make sure. If you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat. So I'm going to keep going, but okay, all good so far. Thank you. That's good to know, right? I'm glad. So once you've done all that like precursor kind of stuff, you can go ahead and get started on week number 1. So my goal during these live streams will be kind of to give you some reminders. This week, we're going to focus on week 1 because that is the week that we are in. So as I said, you'll notice each week you have 2 chapters, 2 discussions, and then there'll typically be a link for the recording of the live stream that I'll post a little later, and then that extra credit for that week that I'll give you during the live stream. Next week, you'll see it looks very similar, except there's also an exam and a study guide. So when we do our live stream next week, I'll talk about all these materials and the exam and so on. So for this week, we're looking at chapters 1 and 2, so kind of the history and scope of psychology. Psychology as a science is the other part of it. So for each chapter, I want you to do 3 things. And my kids make fun of me because I hold up 3 the wrong way, but 3 things, right? 3. So 1, you're going to read the chapter in the ebook. So remember, on the ebook site, you'll click on chapters up at the top, and then you would read chapter 1, right? So that'd be the first one that you read, and you can see the chapter here with images and links and things in it. The second thing that you'll do is you'll go through the lecture that I made for you. And if you look at the lecture, if you click on it, you'll notice it has that same 5-tab format up at the top. You can listen to it or you can read it. The first page will always be objectives and summary. The second page will always be beyond the book. So here's some like videos that I thought were really relevant and helpful. If I give you a video, watch it. If I give you a link, click on it, right? Anything that I give you is going to help you understand the materials. The third page will always be in pop culture. So these are some things in popular culture that connect to these topics that we're going over. The fourth page will be the key terms. So these are the terms that you need to know for the exam from this chapter. So the study guide, when you look at it next week, is just a compilation of all the terms from the chapters we've covered for that exam. And the last page will always be application, right? So now that we have covered it, what are some ways you could apply this to your life? This one's all about careers in psychology. So again, you can listen to it if you miss the sound of my voice, or you can just read through it. But make sure that you do click on anything, watch any videos, and so on. The third thing, the last thing for each chapter, is there is a little lecture video, right? So this is me lecturing with PowerPoint slides. So you might want to take notes. I would definitely watch the whole thing. This is me covering some of the materials in the book and lecturing on it like I would in class. They should have captions. They're not always accurate 100%, but I've captioned them. And images and PowerPoint slides. So definitely consider taking notes. So for each chapter, for chapters 1 and 2, read it in the ebook, read the lecture, and watch the lecture video. And you'll do that each week, so that consistency will hopefully make it easy to remember. And then each week you'll have 2 discussions. So let's take a look at the discussions together. This one right here, discussion 1, is going to be about chapter 1. And you'll notice these also follow the exact same format each week. You'll have my instructions, a video, and then the prompt. Okay, so the instructions remind you to watch my brief video right here, and some of them are a little bit older. You can laugh at like, I was younger, my hair was short, but some of them are new and some of them are old. You're going to answer all of the questions on the prompt below, right? Make sure, again, you think about these, as I wrote up here, like little mini papers. Show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. Really show me that you get it and you can apply it. Don't forget to read through some of your classmate posts and reply to one of them. So in total, the discussions are worth 15 points. 13 for your responses to my questions, and then 2 for your responding to a peer. And if you'd like to see a sample of what I'm looking for, I do have that right here. You can always click on that if you would like more. And again, I hope the videos are helpful. What I did is kind of give you some tips specific to the discussion, and some of them will have things that you need to know in it. And then underneath it, here's the prompt, right? So this is the prompt for discussion number 1. You're going to answer these 3 questions by hitting reply. And make sure that you've done the reading and everything so far. You might save your responses in like a document somewhere just in case something happens. And again, it's always better to give me too much than not enough. Really show off that you understand and can apply the materials. And you can see some of you have already done this, which is fantastic. And then what you'll also do is reply to someone. So let's say I really like Brooklyn's post. I could hit reply and reply to Brooklyn or Katie or Sarah or whoever. So make sure that you do one peer response as a way to get those kind of easy 2 points. So that's discussion 1. And then you'll do the same thing for discussion 2. You'll notice when you click on that, it has the same format, right? Here are the instructions at the top. Here's my video, and then here's the prompt. Right, so make sure you do these either this week or next week before everything's due on the 26th at basically midnight. And don't forget to also the peer response. The peer response is only worth 2 points, but it's such an easy 2 points that you don't want to miss it. And if you can't figure out how to subscribe on one of them, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you at least know how to access it, especially with YouTube. So again, what will happen next week is I'll go over week number 2. The rest of what I have here, so a couple of hours after we finish this, I will upload the recording of this. So if you're watching this later, you already found it. And if you can't make it live, you can always watch the recording. And remember, if you are subscribed on Twitch, you can still answer the extra credit question, which you'll put right here. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So I think those are some of the big things. I have a couple of reminders and then the extra credit question I want to give you. But are there any other questions for me? Anything else that you're confused about at all? Let me, I'm going to post a couple of reminders while you are here. The first one, excuse me, I'd already typed this up. So this one is about making sure to find me on YouTube and Twitch and do those subscriptions and things like somebody just asked about. The second one, if you're looking ahead, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, January 22nd at 11:45 a.m. Okay, so our live streams will be generally at 11:45 a.m. I have a class till 11:15, so that gives me enough time to get home where I actually have good enough internet to do this with you. The Wi-Fi at school is horrible, so I never do it there if I can help it. But we will have a live stream next week at 11:45, and that week it'll be week 2. So we'll cover the exam and everything for week number 2. It should be much, much shorter since it will be just that 1 week. The last thing that I have for you, let me give you the extra credit question, and then I'll show you how to answer it and where to answer it. So this is the week number 1 Twitch extra credit question. And I'm going to put it in the chat, and then I'll talk about it a little bit here. So this is something that relates to chapter 2. All right, so what does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Describe and give me an example. What does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Describe and give me an example. So when you're ready to answer that, you'll go over to Canvas. And since we are in week number 1, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 1 right here. Okay, so when you click on that, it's going to bring up this page. And up at the top right here, it says start assignment. And there's some reminders right here. So remember, you either have to join me live and put your name or be subscribed, or if you're watching this as a recording and you're subscribed, you can still do this as well. So when you're ready, you'll hit start assignment up at the top, and it brings up this box where you can type your response. And once you've answered that question, you'll hit submit assignment, and it'll give you a confetti burst and are those pinwheels? There's always something random in the confetti. So you can look forward to it. I look forward to it every week. Like, what's it going to be? Little surprises, right? Got to find the little joys in life. So what you'll do is you'll answer it there. And I grade these throughout the week. I definitely grade them once the 2 weeks are over. And this is worth 2 points. And that might not seem like a lot, but if you do every single one of these, that's enough to cover an entire discussion that you might have missed, maybe make up for some points that came off on an exam or on like a discussion response or whatever it might be. Those extra credit points just get added to your grade and might give you a really nice buffer or help make up for something that you maybe didn't do so well on. So biggest things as we kind of start to wrap up today, make sure that you read through the syllabus and the lecture, the mandatory orientation lecture. If you haven't already, make sure that you get your textbook, get that Psyched book registered and ready to go. Remember, that's where you can take all of the exams, like the mandatory orientation quiz, That's due by tonight. So priority one, get that book, get the mandatory orientation quiz done. Um, and then once you've done that, you can move on to like the introduction discussion and week number one. You'll also eventually need to register your self-care book, but we won't be looking at that for a few weeks, so you don't have to worry about that too much at the moment. Okay, I know I talked a ton. I hope that you are feeling good about the class. I hope you aren't feeling overwhelmed or anything like that. If you do have any questions, I'll always spend the last like 5 minutes or so just kind of hanging out. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to ask me questions live if you have any. Oh, cat. Hold on. This is the one fun part of getting to teach at home is my cats sometimes make their way. If they come anywhere near me, I will always grab them. This is my boy. This is Rolly. He's a two-hander. We joke because he's such a big boy. I don't know if you can see him or not. I'll let him go because he's mad at me now. But whenever a cat comes anywhere near me, I will always grab them. I have 5 cats, so the odds are decent. Anyway, I'm kind of done with what I wanted to cover with you today. So as I said, what I'll do for these last minutes is I will hang out. I'll hang out, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Like someone just asked, so the Kendall Hunt website and Canvas are the two main sites. Yes. So the two places that you really need consistent access to are Canvas. So as long as you have that set up, which should be pretty easy to do. And then that Kendall Hunt ebook Psyched website, where you'll find all the chapters and the exams. And then the only other thing that you'll ever need to access eventually, I think it's week 6 or 7, we'll look at that self-care book and there'll be an assignment related to that. But you don't need to worry about it quite yet. So the Kendall Hunt site and Canvas are the two main ones. Yes. Yes. So if you're feeling good, you are welcome to go sign off, go figure out the Twitch subscription stuff, get your book, get going on the stuff for this week. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I am going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself, but I'll hang out for a few minutes if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, thank you so much for all of you joining me today. I know I can't see you, but I'm really happy to have you here. That's fantastic. And if you're watching it later, I appreciate that too. Let's see, someone said, I'm having some problems with my internet. Yeah, that's totally fine. And you know what? If you can't do it this week, do it next week. That's fine. I know the internet has been acting up. The power's been out. It's been a week. So just do what you can. That's all you can do. And as I mentioned earlier, if you run into issues where you don't have internet or your power went out or something comes up, just make sure you reach out to me before the deadline, and I'm more than happy to work with you. Okay, so just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're working on stuff. Okay. Thank you as well. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful day. Stay safe, and I'll hope to see you all next week on Wednesday. Yeah, thank you too. Thank you for being here. It's nice to have so many of you in the chat. I hope you can try and make it as often as possible. That's fantastic. You too. Thank you so much. How do you leave? You have to stay forever. You just close it, right? So you just close the window. You can hit the X up at the top, or just get out of the app if you're doing it on the app, or you can stay forever. And when I end it, you'll end up leaving too. I hope that helps. No worries. You're welcome. And again, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. If you do have any questions for me. Okay, so once you've purchased and registered your book, right? So when you have your book and you've registered it, they should give you an email with like instructions of how to register it. And then when you go to that site, so this is the ebook website, up at the top is where you can find exams. If you click on that little link up here that says exams, it's the very first one that will pop up. It'll say a mandatory orientation quiz. So on Canvas, what I've done is give you like a reminder link. So if you click on mandatory orientation quiz on Canvas, it'll say, hey, you got to go to the ebook site. Here's the ebook website link, and here's how to purchase it if you need to. So once it's all registered and set up, then you just go to the ebook site and click on exams, and it should allow you to take that quiz. I hope that helps a little bit. Once you have it all set up, it should be pretty easy, but I know getting it all set up takes a little bit of effort, so sorry about that. Okay, great. I'm glad. Yeah, and like I said, once you have it set up, it should be pretty easy from there. All right, everyone, I'm going to hang out for just like another minute or two, and then I do have another class after this today, so I want to make sure I get that all set up.